A local educator is being recognized as the best in the state in his field and will represent his school and the state on the national stage this spring. Aaron Stuvey has the story.
David Race has been with the Tri-City United School District for 6 years. He acts as the high school's assistant principal, often handling communication between the school and families and discipline when necessary. But now he's being honored for much more. Race has been selected as Minnesota's Assistant Principal of the Year and will fly out to Washington, D.C. this spring to meet with other outstanding educators from around the country.
The first priority is the students' well-being, the students' success, but then it really comes down to families and staff members and making sure everyone feels supported, make sure everyone's feeling successful.
He was surprised with the honor Monday by his colleagues, his family, and by the Minnesota Association of Secondary School Principals, who gave him the news and the honor. Race's colleagues say that they can't think of anyone better to represent not only their school, but the entire state of Minnesota on the national stage.
He's a dad. He coaches the sports, all of those things that a parent do and seem to enjoy doing. He is just a fantastic man. I truly enjoy working with him.
In Montgomery, Aaron Stuvey, KEYC News Now.